We continue the retelling of the story of the rise of King David, chapter 12 in the book of Divrei Hayamim. And focus has been very much on David's warriors. Ve'ela haba'im el David letziklag aratzur mipnei Shaul ben Kish ve'ema begiburim uzrei amilchama. The following people joined David at Ziklag while he was still in hiding from Shaul, son of Kish. And these are the warriors who gave support in battle. We don't get into all the details here of Shaul running away from him, Michal letting David down the window, and David's chances to kill Shaul and his not doing so, and Shaul's enragement and Shaul's, I don't know, bipolar depression, whatever we want to call it. We just say that David is hiding, is stopped, whichever way you want to understand the word atzur. Noshke keshet ma'yiminim umasmi'ilim ba'avanim uvechitzim ba'kashet. They were armed with bows and could use both right and left hand to sling stones or shoot arrows with the bow, and they were from the family of Shaul, from Binyamin. Now, Binyamin, his name is Binyamin, the son of the right hand, but Binyamin is noted. Many people from tribe Binyamin are noted as being left-handed, as being lefties, and so it's pointing out here that they were ambidextrous, and maybe part of that is supposed to be sort of they were left-handed, as often is implied by those who are with the tribe of Binyamin, but also they are, in a sense, right-handed, that they are together with Yehuda and David. And now we're going to tell you some of their names, starting in verse 3. Pasuk Gimel. Harosh Achiezer v'Yoash b'nei Hashima'a Hagivati v'Ziel v'Felet b'nei Azmavet uvracha v'Yehu ha'an Toti. Right, so we have some names here of the different people amongst places listed. Anatot, talk about that city different times. Yirmiyahu from Anatot. V'Yishmaya Hagivoni Gibor Bashloshim V'Al HaShloshim. And here we have somebody Yishmaya from Givon, which is where Shaul was from, the Giv'ah. And he was a warrior amongst the 30, leading the 30. We've talked about different threes in the last chapter, and a total of 30. We don't know if this is generally all of those groups that the ones mentioned earlier, or maybe this is a new 30 from specifically the tribe of Binyamin. V'Yirmiyah, V'Yachziel, V'Yochanan, V'Yozavad, Hagedei-Rati. So some people from Gedera. El Uzai, V'Rimot, Uvalya, Ushmarya, Ushiftayahu, Hacharufi. And so again, some more names. Elkanah, Vishiyahu, Ve'Azrael, V'Yoezer, V'Yoshfa'am, Hakarchim. And here we have from the Karchim. So is this from the family of Korach? It's not clear. It's possible that they are. We've been listening here up to this point, as far as I know, people from the tribe of Binyamin, although that's not necessarily the case. Maybe it's a different Kerach or Korach. One way of thinking that maybe it is from the family of Korach, Elkanah. Elkanah is the father of Shmuel, and Shmuel is a descendant of Korach. So, okay. So it's not, I can't say 100% clear one way or another that we can understand that. Continuing in verse 8, Pasuk Chet, V'yo Elah Uzevadja b'nei Yerocham min Hagdor. So from Gedor we have these people, Umin Hagadi. And so now we presumably turn to a different tribe, the tribe of God. And one of the things that we're trying to show in this chapter is that David, and in the book generally, is David had very, very broad support, right? And we're talking about his unifying tone. We talked about this in the last couple of chapters, last couple of days, how we don't talk about Ishbosheth. We don't talk about wars between David from the time he was only the king of Yehuda, maybe Shimon, until he's the king over all of Israel, the death of Ishbosheth. We don't talk about those sort of ideas. We're just trying to give David broad support. Lots of different tribes are supporting him and are his warriors. So here we're going to give you the mighty warriors, not just from Binyamin, but from numerous tribes as well. We'll see in the coming verses. So again, verse 9, Umin Hagadi nivdalu el David lematzad midbar giborei achayil anshe tzva lemilchama orchei tzina v'romach ufnei aryei pneihem uktzvaim tzvaayim al haharim lemaher. From the tribe of God to follow David, we had valiant men, fighters fit for battle, armed with shields and spears. So we had slingshots and bow and arrows, and we have shields and spears. And they had the appearance of lions, and they were swift as gazelles upon the mountains. Ezer Harosh, Ovadia Hasheni, Eliav Hashlishi. So 3 people listed as the first 3. Mishmanya Harivi'i, Yirmiyah HaChamishi, another Yirmiyah, Atai Hashishi, Eliel Hashvi'i. So the 6th and 7th, Yochanan Hashmini, Elzavad Hachi'i, Yirmiyahu. Before we had Yirmiyah, now we have Yirmiyahu. Ha'asiri, we're in verse 14 if you're following, if you don't see what verse we're up to. Machbanai Ashte Asar, so the 12th is Machbanai. It's such a strange, we have 11. Ele Mibnei Gad, Rashi Hatzava, Echad, Lemea Katan, V'Agadol La'alaf. These were from the tribe of God, the heads of their army. The least of them was equal to 100, the greatest to 1,000. They were such great warriors, we're told, that this is how many, this is how many warriors came to David, and they could pursue 100, they could pursue 1,000. They were tremendous warriors who came to David, which is again showing David's greatness as a warrior. Even the greatest of the warriors are coming to him. Maybe they see this idea that David's going to be king of Israel, etc. Elohim, we're in verse 16, pasuk Tet Zayin, asher avru et hayarden b'chodesh rishon v'hu mimale al kol gedotav v'yavrichu et kol ha'amakim lamizrach v'lama'arav. These were the ones who crossed the Jordan the first month when it was at its crest, and they put to flight all the lowlanders to the east and west. So, right, this is talking about a battle that took place perhaps in Nisan, sometimes in April or so, when the snow had melted. I don't know how much snow there is. I don't think of Israel. Maybe it's up in the north, the Hermon, and they crossed the Jordan, and they're able to show their greatness, their strength. By this instance, that they were great warriors and they could chase away enemies, even though they wasn't quite Hannibal crossing the Alps, but something that was unusual in terms of their great strength. And we saw in the past chapter talks about the men who killed 300, etc., etc. Continuing verse 17. Uvayavo min b'nei Binyamin v'Yehuda ad lematzad liDavid. Some of Benjamin, which we already heard earlier about, some from the tribe of Benjamin and from Yehuda, came to the stronghold, came to the fortress to David. Not clear 100% which fortress this refers to. At this point, Vayetzei David lifneim vayan vayomer lahem im l'shalom batam elai lazrani yeli alechem levav liachad vim la liramotani litzarai below chamas bechapai Yera Elohai Elohei Avotenu v'yochach. And David went out to meet them, and he said to them, if you come on a peaceful errand, right, if you're coming to support me and to join my cause, then great. But if you're going to betray me to my enemies for no injustice on my part, right? Many, many times David in the book is, when he's being chased away by Shaul, he says, I'm innocent and I didn't do anything wrong. And he really didn't do anything wrong. Then let the God of our fathers take notice and give judgment to you. And the end of this verse echoes something that was said by Yaakov to Lavan as they left. He used a lot of the similar language as they were separating in different ways back then. I don't know if it has a lot of that instance. The idea of rima as well is sort of trickery, something that certainly Yaakov endured from Lavan over and over again. So it has a little echo of that instance earlier, way back, of course, in the book of Breshit. Continuing in verse 19, we have here now a prayer that's offered. V'ruach lavshat amasai rosh hashalishim Lecha David v'imcha ben Yishai shalom shalom lecha v'shalom lo'ozrecha ki azrecha Elohecha vayikablem David vayitneim berosh hagdud. And all of a sudden, this great warrior Amasai, he gets some sort of prophetic inspiration. These are words that we've had with different characters, with Shaul and others, that sort of was like they were clothed, they were completely covered by the by prophecy, and he offers the Spirit comes to him, and he says, We are yours, David. We are on your side, the son of Yishai. We are at peace with you. We support you because your God supports you. And David accepted these people from the tribe of Judah, tribes of Binyamin, and put them, in fact, on the head of his people. And this is, again, it's you can look at it as being right. This is, again, expressing David is not having to fight against Ishbod. He's not having to fight to become king of all of Israel. Everybody's coming to him, and everybody's recognizing that God has ordained him as king. As we said in the previous chapter, that Bnei Israel come to him and said, even when Shaul was king, you were in charge of all of Israel, and God had already ordained you as king. Well, we know that as the readers of the Tanakh, because that's what Shmuel said privately to David, to Yishai, to David's siblings, presumably, but that was not public information. David, after that, he's living in the palace of the king for a long time. He's marrying the king's daughter. He's having the king trying to kill him. If there was this broad support, even when Shaul was king, it would have come out. But again, this book is trying to show the broad support that David had. Continue verse 20. We see more tribes that were on his side. Naflu al David b'vo im plishtim al Shaul lemilchava v'lo azarum ki veitza shelchuhu sarnei plishtim lemor b'rishona yipol el adonav. Shaul. Menashe went over to David's side when he was made with the Philistines to make war against Shaul. Right, David pretended that he was going to go wage war against Shaul. That was and the Plishtim didn't allow him to fight with them. But they were of no help to them because the lords of the Philistines dismissed him, saying he will go over to the side of his lord Shaul and will cost us our heads, which of course was David's plan. David's not allowed. David's not in the battlefield, and Shaul and his children get killed, as was described a couple of chapters ago, and of course back at the end of Shmuel Aleph. We're giving the names of the people from the tribe of Menashe who joined him. David al Hagdud. They were they were, great warriors for David. Day in, day out, people came to give him support until there was an army as vast as the army of God. So names of specific tribes, and then we have just generally David was getting more and more strength and more people who followed him. Back in the book of Shmuel, talks about 400 men or 600 men. Here it makes it look like he has 20,000 soldiers. The Elo in verse 24, these are the people, the armed, the soldiers who joined David at Hebron to transfer Saul's kingdom to him, as God had said. 6,800 men from the tribe of Yehuda. 7,100 from the tribe of Shimon. From Levi, 4,600. One often thinks of the tribe of Levi as being warriors. They are supposed to be serving in the temple, the Kohanim, the Leviim, but to support David, we have 4,600 of them. Yoyada was the chief officer of the from Aaron, so this is Kohanim, and from him, along with him, 3,700 Kohanim. Tzadok nar gibor chayil veit aviv sarim esrim u'shnayim. Tzadok, a young man with his clan, 22 officers, and presume this is also the Kohen. Tzadok umin bnei, we're in verse 30. Binyamin. Shaul Shloshet Alafim Vadhina Marbitim Shomrim Mishmer Beit Shaul. And from the tribe and the brothers of Shaul from Binyamin, 3,000 in their great numbers. Until that point, they were on the side. They were guarding the family of Shaul, but now they came over to David's side. And we continue. 20,800 men from the tribe of Ephraim, which is significant because Ephraim, of course, leads the rebellion against the Davidic dynasty just 2 generations later. So again, showing that strong support. At David from the tribe of Masha, 18,000. From Yisachar, those who knew how to interpret the signs. Right, so this seems to have that they have some sort of vision and understanding. There were 200 and many others who followed them. Zvulun, Yotzei Tavarchim Mulchama B'chol Klei Mulchama, 50,000 Aleph La'ador Below Lev V'Lev, 50,000 from the tribe of Zvulun, the largest amount, and they were totally 100% with David. This is below Lev V'Lev. They went with all of their hearts. Naftali Sarim Aleph, V'Mayim B'Tzina V'Chanit Shloshim V'Shivim Elef. Naftali, 1,000 sort of leaders, and 37,000 who came with their shields and lances. So, right, each person sort of, each leader had a group on average of 37 people. Umin Hadani Archel Milchama 28,600 from the tribe of Dan. Umi Asher Yotzei Tzaval Arch Milchama Arbim Aleph, 40,000 from the tribe of Asher. And also on the other side of the Jordan River in verse 38, Pasuk Lameched Me'ever L'Ardei Menor V'Ni V'Gadi V'Chatzei Mashi Menashe B'Chol Klei Tzava Milchama Me'a V'Esrim Aleph. 120,000 men from the three tribes of Reuven, Gad, and the other half of Menashe. Tremendous amount. And again, I've said it over and over again, showing the broad support. Everybody, some already came to Tziklag when David was in hiding from Shaul. But now that David has been proclaimed as king in Hebron, now the support, everybody is coming to him. Kol Eila Anshe Milchama Odrei Ma'aracha B'Leivav Shalem Bo Hebron L'Hamlich Et David Al Kol Yisrael V'Gam Kol Sherit Yisrael Leiv Echad L'Hamlich Et David. These were all the men, their battle lines and their troops, and they came with a strong heart. Right, they were full-fledged behind David, as was all of Israel together, Leiv Echad, to make David king of Israel. They were 3 days together with David, eating and drinking, because they were given food, presumably from the people of Hebron. And also, it wasn't just the local people who brought food. People from as far away as Yisachar, Zvulun, Naphtali, by donkey, by camel, by mule, by ox. They brought all the things: flour, cakes, figs, raisins, cooks, wine, oil, cattle, because there was great joy in Israel. This was a time of great simcha. So it makes it look, right, everybody's coming together. It has this sense here of, to me, of sort of like an Aliyah Larega, right? Eventually the Jews are going to go into Yerushalayim 3 times a year, and they have to eat their food in Jerusalem. They gather together, and it's a great joy. It's great simcha, and that's what we have in this chapter. This chapter is describing the tremendous support that David has. Not exactly the same. Like we said, it's a very different telling of the story than we were told in the book of Shmuel. But it's showing that it was, in a sense, a festival. It's a joyous time. Everybody's coming together. We're eating, we're drinking, and everybody's behind David. And so, too, sort of the book is saying, everybody should be behind the leaders of the second temple, that it should flourish the same way the temple of David did way back when.